Welcome back, my name is Last Snow Meal and welcome to the episode 35 of the Cyberpunk 2077 community podcast. Hopefully everything is okay because today with me I have the usual bunch starting from the right. Mad Queen, what's up?
Greetings, Earthlings.
The Neon Arcade.
What's up? Hello.
And Subsidian from the Triple S League.
Aye, aye, Captain.
How was your week, guys?
Pretty relaxing.
Nah.
I had a relaxing week. Finally we got some news, so
Finally
excited to talk about some of the little tidbits that we got, the scraps.
Oh yeah, it wasn't much, but we did learn some things, and especially when you have the drought season like all of us had with the news,
Right.
This is great. Did anyone check? I think people can hear us, so we are good. All right, now the first thing I wanna kind of get out of the way, it's probably the vehicle everyone is talking about, the Cybertruck. First off.
You mean this vehicle that had the indestructible windows that were destructed on the showcase?
That keynote was didn't go so well, did it?
No, it wasn't as polished. So what do you think about this vehicle?
I think it's mad ugly.
It's super cyberpunk because it's made by rich people for rich people and it doesn't work. It's to live in a world where people is so scared they need to have like some sort of indestructible car. Which, by the way,
Like, why would the average consumer need that?
I don't know.
I
I guess it depends on where you live.
There's
I
a couple
can
of
see that
really good
being, like-
things about it.
Yeah, I can see that being
Like-
used in like Rio de Janeiro or something, because aren't all their cars like armored anyways? Is like
Where?
Rio de Janeiro, Brazil?
Oh, I don't know.
I think some
Well,
areas, favelas.
Mhm.
Yeah. Like, I mean, just in general, it's the concept is like sound, and like I don't understand why everybody hates it so much. Like, there's a lot of people who are like, it looks like a DeLorean, and yeah, DeLoreans are pretty cool.
They are.
I mean, am I the only one who
It's not
doesn't
that
think?
people hate it. It's that it's not very original. It's not the first time that we see the signs like this on quote unquote futuristic cars. In fact,
Yeah.
my brother has been doing a thread on Twitter with different designs of cars, and basically this is a copy, and it's been sold like it's like super original. No, it's not.
Well, the Tesla design is so cool, and then this one is just like completely out to left field. They could have
Yeah,
just added this, tacked this onto the like Tesla line, right? Made a Tesla truck or something. That would have been cool.
I mean, I'll give it that it's not doesn't look the absolute best that it might have been able to, but at the same time, it's like that quad in the back is absolutely amazing. So yeah, there's that.
Yeah. I mean, it could be. This is just a prototype. I mean, again, this is a kind of a prototype version. But especially like if people seen the inside, it's really simplistic.
Did they show the inside? They showed the inside. right?
Yeah, it's basically one like huge LED screen, LCD screen, whatever they have in every Tesla, and then there's the steering wheel, and then like a marble, how would I say, board in front of it, and that's it. Pretty much. It's really
Well,
empty.
it's self-driving, right? It still is self-driving.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you can get the self-driving option. It costs 7K extra.
Okay.
It doesn't. I think it doesn't come default, no matter what engine you get.
Mm.
But it is different. It is going to stand out. I think that was their goal all along, just to stand out. And Elon already tweeted that they sold about 146,000 of these. I mean, pre-orders. Yeah.
Holy.
Yeah. What he didn't say is that the shares of the company dropped after what happened in the reveal.
After
I
the
think that's-
rock.
In my humble opinion, I think that's a ploy. I think they do these bad like public events where Elon kind of screws up, then the stock price drops, and then the company like buys back a bunch of the stock, and then a few weeks later, when the stock is like up 5%, then they sell it and they make a 10% profit. Like,
Well, it's not-
in
it's
my
not a
humble
bad
opinion,
idea.
I think
Isn't that
I think
illegal?
it's legitimately what's going on, because like if you look at the numbers, it's like he goes on Joe Rogan and smokes weed, and the thing tanks, and then it shoots back up again, and then he does that again and again, and it's so. I mean, I'm just saying, billionaires, they do what they do to make money. They don't do what they do to, entertain people.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I think this is like legitimately like makes me scratch my head, going, yeah. I think this is very interesting.
And we do read the chat, Jack. We do. We'll get into it. Should you pre-order? Yeah, you should.
Pre-order on GOG.
Yeah.
If you want to support the developers, of course.
That's when they actually get 100% of the profit goes to CD Projekt Capital Group. If you buy it anywhere else, they get a percentage, as it is with everyone pretty much. But to go back to the vehicle, obviously he is going for that cyberpunk look to it that we've seen in Blade Runner, that we've seen in the vision that people had of cyberpunk back in the day. So in one sense, yeah, it is a copy. In the other sense, I would like it.
I'm sorry, I don't especially like cars. I mean, cars are made for things are things that take you from one place to the other. So, except extremely cool designs, which I don't think it is, in my personal opinion. It's like, it's a car. It's a car. And by the way, I thought if the car is indestructible, then if you have an accident, the outside of the car doesn't absorb the impact, and it's worse for the people inside. It's not that security with the car.
That's not necessarily true, because you have airbags in the vehicle. So if the majority of deaths from from car accidents is when the vehicle is crushed and crushed into the person inside the vehicle. A big one is the fact that, like, on head-on collisions, the engine usually ends up in the middle of the car. And there's a couple of car companies that I think it might just be the one. They design the engine to be on a track system, so that when you smash into a hard object, the vehicle follows, or the engine block follows the track and goes down into the ground. And these are the accidents, if you ever seen them on tape, where the car like hits something straight, but then the car almost like flips up because it's dumping the engine on the ground instead of into the the lap of the driver. And so having a vehicle that doesn't smash anything is actually good, as so long as you have equal protection inside for the fleshy bits floating around on the inside of the vehicle.
Yeah. What are the safety standards for this? Because this thing, I don't know, like how do you drive this and expect, like, in an accident, like the other person is gonna be like, because I talked with someone, like, how the shape of the vehicle looks, if it goes straight into the other car, it's going to cut it in half with that speed. Like, literally the upper part of
that's kind of true.
Yeah, that includes people. Because I don't think it's gonna go up once it hits something. It's like the lower part is gonna stay when the frontal part of the other car is gonna be, because of the height. So the pointy thing is going straight for the windshield. So damn. But we'll see. But anyway, there were some rumors, and I'll just leave it at that. Rumors that it might be included in Cyberpunk 2077 just because of a tweet.
Yeah, well, I guess if Elon really wants to make some product placement, Cyberpunk 2077 is the place to do it.
Please, no. that Stranding monster thing left a weird taste in my mouth. I don't think product placement is very good in games. I guess
I think,
you mean like the monster drink in Death Stranding?
That was so jarring. Yeah,
there was that.
he drinks like 20 of them an hour. like I'm pretty sure that the actual story of Death Stranding is a dude who's in the hospital because he's overdosed on Monster Energy drinks, and everything's happening in his head, and it's like, and this is why you have such like.
Did you play Death Stranding, Hype?
No, I didn't. But
I wish the monster thing was the worst.
I know.
In terms of product,
I just leave it there.
Is there anything else in that game? Like product
Yes,
wise?
yes. You have to make Amazon deliveries all around.
But it's not actually called Amazon, right?
No, it's not called Amazon. It's called shit. I played the whole game and now I don't remember the name of the company. What's the name of the company? And they say it like every 5 minutes. Bridges.
Bridges. Yeah. They say his name every 5 seconds.
Yes.
I don't know. That's a made-up thing for the universe, right? That's not a real-life product.
It's a game that it's about connecting people. Like, if you have also the product placement of Nokia, because they keep repeating connecting people, and so the company is called Bridges.
My God!
All the names of the things revolve around the theme. In case you didn't notice what the game is about, because you're making the fucking deliveries of Amazon.
I never.
But then after all this, after all the deliveries, then they put you Mads Mikkelsen, and you forget how bad the game is actually.
I was surprised when I saw that, because I didn't know Hideo was actually someone who's going to put product placement into his universe. That's going to be tainted.
It's not that bad. The product. I didn't believe that it's that bad. The product placement there. It's not one of the most annoying things. I mean,
for Cyberpunk,
if you get some extra money to make the game, I'm totally fine with it.
There's so many companies in the lore and products in the lore. They don't need to do that at all. Like take real life products and put them in the game. I think that would be so weird.
No, but they can do the other way around. They can license brands in the game to have Nicola in real life.
That would be cool. I'd be okay with that. That would be cool.
In fact, I go to a bar that it's next to where I live. That is, they have big screens to watch esports there, and they have Nuka-Cola.
Really? Nice. Well, they had those for the booths. They had like all the different types of beers that were from the universe or whatever.
Yes, they had it at the booths
at E3 and stuff like that.
Yes.
That is so cool.
Yeah, we imagine that you can go to the supermarket and buy Nicola. Yeah. Then go figure out how it's going to taste, though. Yeah.
Maybe do like a marketing campaign with Coca-Cola onto bringing beverage from Cyberpunk onto the kind of a real life.
Yeah, well, now I'm thinking about drinks that I had in my life that were from marketing. Like, I don't know, the Simpsons beer that was horrible. The Iron Maiden beer was also horrible, and I guess there's more. But there's mostly an American thing. We don't get that much in Europe, I believe.
No. Just managed to scavenge Doritos today, finally. But no, like even if they include the Cybertruck in game, it's probably gonna be some really, really hidden Easter egg.
I think there's a strong possibility that we will see it like somewhere within the game at some point, because it's yes, it was a bad, terrible presentation, but honestly, it's now meme, like it's achieved meme status overnight. And you see the image where he's like standing in front of the car and it's got the two broken windows. How much you want to bet we're going to see a truck with those exact or pretty close to those two smash points on it somewhere? If not, actually getting the full on like the full on like game, or sorry, the truck as a truck that you can actually drive around in game. Like I think that's not. I don't think that's out of
the realm of possibility. I agree with that.
Yeah. I think this is like really, really, really possible because, like I said, it's meme status and it's like really awesome.
I think it's better if you do like a slight nod to it, like the two broken windshield panes, like you said, instead of overtly just having it in there. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see.
I'm sure mods will put it in there. Some.
Oh yeah.
Yes, if it's not, they always have mods.
Keanu Reeves in the Tesla truck.
Like there's already like mock-ups. Didn't you put that in your last thumbnail for your last video? Is the kind of like a mock-up of the truck into like more of a sporty truck with like colors and stuff?
You mean the thumbnail?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that like there's already people doing that, and where did you get that? Did you get that directly from?
I saw that on Twitter. I think someone edited that. Right?
Just Googled Cybertruck and I applied the gradient over it. That was about it.
So that's pretty darn cool already.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's not bad.
I mean, people who do buy this, they're gonna mod this hard, especially from the exterior.
Mm-hmm.
In a sense, I already imagine like the things people are gonna put there. Well, I don't know.
Can you imagine how devastated people are gonna be if we don't get mod support at this point? We've been talking about it a lot, as if it's like a confirmed thing.
Yeah. Well, we do.
Oh, that people is always going to be able to make mods, even if that's not the mod kit. I mean,
this is true.
There's people who doesn't need anything like that to be able to do mods.
That's true.
So we're going to have mods, yes.
I'm amazed by those people. Like, you don't have a toolkit, but you somehow are able to pull it off. Jeez.
Because they know what they're doing.
Yeah, obviously, man. It's so cool to know, but just sticking to editing. But anyway, any closing?
Yes, we can jump to the multiplayer thing.
Yeah, let's go to the multiplayer. Multiplayer has been something which has been, kind of dividing people. At least that's what I first like when I said that. There could be a possibility for multiplayer in Cyberpunk. People got like, oh, what? No, don't include that. Don't taint the single player experience. But
wait a second. Sorry to interrupt you because I just remembered. One thing that someone put in the comments. A gorilla fan. Hey guys, my birthday is tomorrow. Can I get a happy birthday from you guys on the chat? Happy birthday, gorilla fan.
Happy birthday, man. Happy birthday.
I was gonna sing a happy birthday song, but then I realized like 90% of them are copyrighted and would end up getting the video. Like seriously, there's so many, but yeah, seriously, happy birthday for everybody who's having a good birthday or another good special day. But yeah, no, there's a lot of like. Is another YouTuber that I watch a lot, and his girlfriend will like hum or sing tunes like really well, and that'll end up getting the video either demonetized or something.
Jeez,
it's like wow, yeah, it's brutal. It's like wow,
can't even do that.
That's not fun.
Yeah, well, sing someone's birthday is like, oh no, demonetized. Why do you do this? But yeah, happy birthday to you, and hopefully you have a nice day tomorrow. Now, to go back to the multiplayer, there were some talks around it that they want to have value for money, basically. This is something they said with Adam Kaczynski. I want to say that this was an interview with Adam Kaczynski, and he said, we're exploring various possibilities, and so far it is not the time for precise determination directions, although it can be safely said that we will not compromise our own policy contracts with players. Monetization will be intelligent, and we will ensure that, how always, deliver valuable products in exchange for payment received. What do you think about that?
People is shouting microtransactions. I mean, we already know. We always knew that they had to monetize the multiplayer. We said that millions of times. And we're wondering, how are they going to monetize the multiplayer? But it's obvious that they need to monetize the multiplayer. They need to pay servers, they need to pay things.
Mm-hmm. If you do a quick Google search about how much servers actually cost, you'll be pretty amazed. Like just a rudimentary search about how much these things cost, they have to monetize this. Otherwise, they're losing so much money.
Yes, of course, they have to monetize the multiplayer. I believe that it's obvious.
They can do it in smart ways that doesn't, like they said, fragment their audience, but they have to do it.
Yes, I mean, it's, again, obvious. As long as they don't do it as Fallout 76, we'll be fine.
Cyberpunk first.
But what's good? You see, when you think about microtransactions and non-predatory ones, you obviously just refer to, let's say, skins for weapons, for outfits. Are people?
Well, it's not only a matter of skins, because usually I always say the same. Well, if it's skins and it's cosmetic, I don't mind. I don't mind until I saw in Fallout 76 you had skins that costed more than expansions for video games. In fact, you have an armor of the Nuka-Cola in Fallout 76 that is more expensive than Blood and Wine when it came out.
My
Like that's
God.
ridiculous.
For
That's
one
ridiculous.
one thing? Jeez.
How much was it to get all the Call of Duty, or was it Ghost Recon? It was something crazy. It was in the thousands of dollars to get all the microtransaction equipment in one of these most recent games. Was it Ghost Recon?
Ghost
I don't
Break-
Recon
remember.
Ghost Recon Wildlands had packages, the loot boxes in a way. But I don't know how much money you would spend on it, but you can get some stuff like vehicles, I guess, weapons. I know I never liked it, but if they only stick the skins in a way, I would be okay with that. Maybe
And fair pricing for those skins,
Yeah,
not
yeah,
$30 for a goddamn recolor.
yeah, I don't
That's
think they're
dumb.
gonna do that because that would be stupid to include. But it's always because every other company did that in a very bad way, in a very predatory way, and now they're notorious. And now, if you want to think about multiplayer, if you want to think about hosting servers, which are expensive, as you said, you have to do it somehow. Yeah,
I would be okay with paying a monthly subscription.
monthly subscription. Okay, this is interesting. To play multiplayer.
But
It
well,
depends.
the thing about microtransactions is that usually a very small percentage of the users are the ones that spend thousands of dollars in microtransactions and pay for the rest of us. So the good thing about microtransactions and not a fee, a monthly fee for everybody, is that you can play for free while someone else is paying for your part of the deal.
That is
I
true.
like well done battle passes. I'm probably in the minority, but
I mean, yeah, you get a lot of stuff for it. Depends which battle pass. I didn't like the Counter-Strike one that just came out.
I think Apex's is fair. It's a little bit steep, but you can recoup the whatever the coins to buy the next
Oh yeah,
battle.
yeah. You can
Essentially,
basically get
it's
1,000, so you pay it off in a sense. You have the
Pretty
next
much,
one
yeah.
for free. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, they also give a lot of challenges for you to actually gain those levels. So in a sense, yeah, they are okay. But how would you? Depends on the, I guess, the multiplayer modes, what they do. If it's gonna be, you join the lobby and you go through missions. I don't know how much, collecting scores there. But actually, what Mad Queen said, to have a monthly subscription for it, like for World of Warcraft, I don't know.
I would be fine with that too.
Yeah.
I think that's approaching it from the concept that it would be more like kind of like an MMO type thing, and I really don't think it will be. I think it will be like a kind of like a well, I mean, it could resemble Grand Theft Auto Online, or it could be more like maybe an APB Reloaded, or it could be more like a lobby like mission thing, more like Warframe. I don't think it'll be like Destiny type thing. Destiny, or I guess Destiny would be a decent example. A Destiny or a WoW or something like that. I don't think I don't think the gameplay will actually be like that. I suspect it'll be more like one of the others. But then again, we don't really know yet, because they are still experimenting. Originally, they had an idea of what they wanted for multiplayer. They wanted this, like, where you drop in, you could join other people's matches or games. You could hop in with friends in the world. They had a whole social system set up with a whole variety of things, and then all of that got scrapped. We don't know how much of it got permanently scrapped, but they did back off on most of that and say, no, we need to come up with a new concept, a new idea. And this is like, it's like they admit it themselves. They've admitted it in interviews, is like they had an idea for the multiplayer and they were pursuing it and they were going to have it in, but at some point they realized that it was just too much or it wasn't good enough, and they wanted to reinvent the wheel, so to speak, and take multiplayer in a direction that felt a lot better and was more meaningful and less tacked on. And they've admitted that several times. So anybody who's like, well, I heard this about the multiplayer. Yes, and that was true. There was a lot of things that got out about the multiplayer that were 100% true and accurate, and the people at the company have basically said as much for a lot of those things. But now the entire scope has changed, and we don't know what's transitioning with that. So it's
Why don't you recap what the rumors actually were back in the day? Because I'm sure a lot of people don't actually remember what those were or know.
Yes. So again, a lot of it was confirmed rumors. Like they had their kind of like their mission statement or their outline that they had actually like included in some promotional stuff and in the initial announcement and some other stuff is like they wanted to have a seamless multiplayer experience where you pop in and out of other people's or your friends' games, or you go to like a particular place where there's a hub of people that are online and you can talk and share and show off, you know, what you got and stuff like that. But then the game became far more story centric and a lot of that stuff shifted. So we know that at some point there was a way to group up, go out on missions, do certain events with other people that you would group up with or invite with you. And it was taken care of for the most part fairly seamlessly. But that whole scale, and that was a popular concept back when this game was originally like designed, right? Back when it was originally announced before Witcher 3 came out. They had an idea, they had a concept, the first teaser that dropped, they had a bunch of ideas on where they could take the story, where they could take the gameplay. And that was back when people were looking for that kind of like seamless pop in, pop out of their friends' matches and stuff like that, you know, hopping into their world. That was a really popular idea back then. But the first couple of games that came out with it kind of didn't do it very well. And then the community was like, yeah, we're not really interested in this anymore. And then since then they said, okay, well, we're basing this off of an older idea that's not really coherent anymore and definitely not something that the people want. And if we did it this way, we'd basically just be kind of tacking it on there. So let's do something different and take it back to the drawing board. Yeah. So all of the leaks, and I don't want to go through too many of them because, you know, then it's like even though I'm saying none of this stuff is in the game, people will still say, but you said this stuff was going to be in the game, and you're like, no, it used to be, but it's not anymore. But you said it was, so I don't want to get too much into it. But the original idea of where they were, because multiplayer changes so fast. You know, you can sit down and you can play a single player story-based game from like 15 years ago, and it's good. You know, it's good for what it was, or it's good for even in current day setup. Like if you've never played through the original Knights of the Old Republic, I highly suggest you do. But while the gameplay might be crap, the story is still like on point. But you don't have that in multiplayer. In multiplayer, it's all about the gameplay and it's all about the experience. And while some things can transition, like, you know, WoW vanilla, you know, it can go away for or be lost to time, so to speak, and then it can resurface 15 years later, and it's suddenly an amazing product. And you can have that, but for what they were, for the trend chasing things, some of those trends die out. Some of those things like just, and we see it with like, you know, Hearthstone type card games, and we see it with like, even really now we're kind of seeing it with MOBA games. They're kind of like slowly fading out and fading away, and other games that approach the concept differently are doing better and better. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff that's just weird and unique and different, and you kind of hope that you get the idea, or you get some semblance of like being able to like find it or connect with it, but it's different, and we'll see how it goes. Yeah,
we will, because people don't want bad multiplayer. People want something fun, and I just hope they actually get it right, because it's gonna be really defining for their company, I believe, the multiplayer part. Because if they do the multiplayer part right, it's going to kind of sustain the game for a longer period of time. Besides, you know, the sales and everything, it might be good for them whenever they release it, but it's not coming anytime soon, because for everyone watching, they want to finish the expansions first and the game, and then the multiplayer is coming out. So don't expect it with release or anytime soon. So that's about that, because someone said, oh, I can play multiplayer straight from the beginning. No. Only have the single player, then the expansions, then they move on to that. I also wonder if the mod kit, if it's gonna be released after the expansions, before the multiplayer, or it's gonna be, you know, dependable on the multiplayer. What mods can we use there? Can we use them at all? Are they going to be restricted in a way? What vision do they have? It's going to be interesting to see what they do with it, in a sense.
I think it's a good thing that they went with a more story-driven directive with the online element. And I think it's good that they kind of went back to the drawing board, because that kind of just says to me that maybe they expanded this. I was initially thinking they might have downgraded their vision of something, but they actually want to, scale it up in a way. So, I mean, we can wait for that all day long, right?
Yeah.
But we waited so long for the single player. We can wait.
Of course,
till
you're
they get something
gonna have
perfect.
something to play. Like
Yeah.
multiplayer, you arrive when you want to. I still have to do my 10th run of this game. What if I don't talk to this bum? Is it going to change the ending?
This is true.
Yeah. But we'll see. This is just so far just for speculation. We also had the financial reports. Neon, do you want to kind of elaborate on that? You did really good video on the
Yeah, let me just pull up the article because I forgot a bunch of points. So essentially, from what I remember, Cyberpunk 2077 is in the final phase of development. So essentially, I don't know, Cyber, if you want to expand on what that kind of means, because in my opinion, there's 5 months till the game comes out, right? So when are they going to mention that the game is going to go gold and that they're going to start printing copies? Does that typically happen a month before, 2 months before? So essentially, they have maybe what I'm assuming is 3 months to work on the game, and then it's going to start printing and shipping.
Yeah. So in the final phase of development, you're basically taking a lot of things that are in the game, and you're no longer adding new features to them. Now, this isn't the same for every company, and every company always plays this a little bit differently. There are some games that they completely changed. There's one big game that had a crafting system in it when it came out, and they completely changed the crafting system from what it was to a completely new system in the last 2 months of development before the release date. So this isn't 100% the way that every company does it. So I'm talking in like typical things, and what we typically know from CDPR is they typically come up with ideas and then try to chase that particular concept properly, and they try to do it efficiently. Sometimes they can be distracted. Every developer can be distracted, and Mad Queen, you've talked before in videos about the work culture there, how occasionally any good team leader can be distracted by a shiny thing that they see in a new game, right? That is something that can happen, right? Mad Queen?
Are you there, Mad Queen?
I think she's away.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I just got back. I need to go to the bathroom. I am so sorry. I just got back.
Sorry about that. So I was saying how in some companies, even good game team leads for various divisions within a game can be easily distracted. And you've actually covered how this has happened in CDPR before, but not to the extent that it's happened in other companies that don't know how to handle it properly. That there is this distraction that can happen when they see something or a shiny new mechanic or way of doing something in a new game, right? Like you've actually seen that this has happened on a small scale within CDPR, right?
I can't answer this question.
Oh, okay. I mean, you've talked about it in a video before.
Yes, I talked about it 4 years ago.
Yeah. Yes, it was a long time ago. So, okay, we're not talking about that anymore.
You know that I can't say anything about this, right?
Okay, all right. So, anyways, I'm just using it as an example that every studio has the ability to like distract themselves in an either healthy way or an unhealthy way. But typically, we know that CDPR has for The Witcher, they were pretty much on point with minor distractions, and that's not a bad thing. That's just normal for companies, and I'm stressing that it's normal.
On The Witcher, it was very different because most of the leads, as people explained to me, most of the leads were people that were onto the project that only. They didn't have that much experience. and they became ambitious, like in the middle, and they wanted to put more and more and more things. And I believe that the approach in Cyberpunk is quite different.
Especially for the scale.
And so I'm just laying this out, is that it's not a bad, it's not a bad thing. That it is in fact a very normal thing.
But when you're a perfectionist, this is the thing to do. Yeah. I mean, it really shocks me when you try to understand it to people that doesn't work on autistic fields. It's like, oh, they changed their minds. Well, because maybe they had an idea that they didn't have before, and they think it's better. And ideas don't come when you want them to come. Ideas come sometimes, in the worst moment, and you want to correct things and you want to make them better. I believe that it would be pretty worse if they kept things exactly the same way they thought about them in the first place, because that means that they don't strive for perfection.
Yeah, and I think overall, that just in a generalized experience, what you have here is they're entering the final phase, which is that they're taking what they currently have in the game, and they're polishing and they're running through it to squash as many bugs and as many problems as they can. They're trying to increase the optimization, and that there's going to be very few new things added to the game. There might be a handful of quests that need to be worked on or perfected, but for the most part, everything is in and ready to go, and it's just now polishing it up.
I think this is the time. Sorry,
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Most companies take about 3 to 6 months to finalize something, and in this case, they're clearly doing it with 3 to 4 months left. So that might mean that they're a little crunched on time, but I don't think it's as bad as any other company ever has when they have a AAA launch as well. I think this is from the outside and from just looking at it. I know that I know some people are always worried, but those people are always there in any project. There's always people who are worried that they're not going to get it done on time. But I think looking in at it, I suspect that they're moving very much on course, and that they're doing a very good job with this. There is a lot of new people, and they're not a well-oiled machine as they were perhaps in previous years, but just due to the fact that they've tripled their employees, right? And whenever you triple your employees, you're going to have some not smoothness going on there, because not everybody knows how to function the best in that company and how to get the most out of their time and out of the leadership structure that you've set in place. So overall, I think they're moving fine. And what we're going to be seeing here, which I called a couple of weeks ago, we're going to be seeing them ramp up the marketing for this, and they're going to be showcasing a little bit more from the game, because there's more stuff that's been set now. We know that as of this summer, they were still tweaking and changing the character creation and the character, some of the other things to do with the character, and that they were not wanting to show that stuff off because it's not finalized, and that it may still be changing and altering quite commonly. They might be tweaking and playing with it almost on a daily basis, and they might have been doing that up till basically a week or two ago.
Well, that's exactly what they were saying in the financial briefing. They said they're doing internal and external testing at this point.
Yeah. So I think most of the stuff is now baked in, and they're just waiting for it to basically cool. So they're in their final stages, and we're going to start seeing some of this new stuff. I suspect that we will see the character creator in one way or another, probably before February. So we're talking December, January is when we're probably going to get the character creation dump, so that people can kind of see it and mess around with it. It's a good idea to put that out. It doesn't have too much lore breaking stuff. It's the first thing that you see in the game. This is typically a really, really good thing to put out and to let people mess with. And if they are really wanting to get people excited for it, they'll probably have an event sometime in the next 2 months where they actually showcase it either live, or they showcase it with particular people from the community, and and that's a solid option. I'd say there's a fairly good chance that we might see something similar to that. But we will see other things with the game as well, featuring on the story, the characters within the world, and also doing a callback to 2020 and the events that happened within 2020. We're probably going to see a fair amount of that. And Mad Queen, I think we're going to be seeing a lot of. I think we're going to be seeing a lot more than I thought. I know you were quite adamant that we were going to be seeing a ton from there, and I wasn't necessarily sold on that, but I think we might be seeing more of 2020 than I had at first kind of thought. So there's something good for you, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did you mention the third character that because you had that first video and then you found out about the other characters after? Did you?
Yes, Dr. Paradox. Well, it's not that I found out. It was updated the exact moment when I was uploading the video. Because I at first I thought that I didn't see it, and I checked the thumbnails that I took for my video, and I realized it wasn't there. They put it later. And yes, Rogue is in the game. Rogue is in the game. And Dr. Paradox, that's going to be really funny. Dr. Paradox is a media that is some sort of how this guy is called. This American conspiracy theorist that was on a Scanner Darkly. Alex Jones, I believe is called.
That had a show, Infowars.
Yes, well, I don't know the real life character, this Alex Jones person, but all the Americans that saw the explanations of Tonsorian games about Dr. Paradox said, oh, it's the same. Well, Dr. Paradox is innocuous. He doesn't harm anyone, and he had some sort of magazine about conspiracy theories. He believed that President Elizabeth Kress was an AI. And the person that was on the interviews was actually another person who was brainwashed into believing that she was the president of the United States, but the real president was an AI. Theories like that, and it was incredibly funny. So it's a character. It's weird because if they put. One thing is putting characters of 2020 in 2077, and second is this theory that I had that we will see 2020. And with Rogue, I was like, oh, I wish. And with Dr. Paradox, it's like, well, if he survived all the way to 2077, I find really weird that they put. It's a very secondary character. Okay, it's not like Morgan Blackhand, which is famous character, an important character of the law. Dr. Paradox is a completely secondary character.
Imagine the mission.
Was Blackhand on the IMDb
no,
page? He wasn't on there, right?
Crap.
No, he was at least not yet. But it depends. It depends if we see a character that died. That's what I'm waiting for, to see announced a character that died. Apart from obviously Silverhand, because he's a ghost. But another character that died can't be in 2077, in the year 2077. That's what I'm waiting for.
Yeah. So and the fact that we have so much, and it really opens the door, because the whole events and the whole change, and the fact that Cyberpunk Red has been based in that time period between this game and the last pen and paper, means that we're probably going to be seeing a lot more of this than some people assume, and that we're probably going to be seeing far more of the 2020 years, or far more callbacks to it, I should say. And I think it's probably a good thing, I think.
I wish. Go imagine a mission with Paradox, like, so I've seen this gray guy with 2 swords, you gotta find him.
Well, he can be done in very funny ways, but I'm shocked mostly because of that. Rogue was a very important character. She was in the Arasaka riot. She was in the Fourth Corporate War. She had a relationship with Johnny Silverhand, so she's an important character. But Dr. Paradox is only mentioned in the book that is about the character class of the media. he's not in adventures. He's like in the background, and that Doctor Paradox is in the game. It's like that's like super weird. I love it, but that's super weird. Well, in fact, also we had an Easter egg about the Max Stack officer that's not even in the main adventures. It's in one of these separate adventures that were licensed.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe it seems that they are using the 100% of what's available in the lore. And yeah, I need to open the door to my cat. I'm sorry for the meows in the background.
The fifth member of the Cyberpunk
You
community
wanted.
I'm sorry.
No worries. I like the chat. It's like Kitty. All of a
She
sudden.
wants to talk about Cyberpunk as well.
I like the cat emoji. It's mad cute.
Yeah.
And then
It's like
Ali's
dark.
like, cat, I hear a cat.
Do you know that there's a breed of cat, or species of cat? I have to say, probably not. It's not a breed. Denotes people tried to like do that on purpose. That it keeps it almost looks like a kitten for its entire life, and it mostly eats bugs because it's so small. Because it doesn't really hunt very much else. It just mostly eats bugs, and it's this adorable tiny little thing. However, unfortunately, they're probably one of the most antisocial cats there is. Like most cats are fairly communal and they'll spend time together. These cats want absolutely nothing to do with anything else, and they only get together for breeding.
It's probably not a very healthy cat either, because that sounds like definitely a selective.
No, it's a wild cat that like is in jungles, yeah, and it hunts around for bugs and eats bugs all the time.
Nice.
But it's like a particular breed of jungle cat. It's super adorable.
Because I know when people breed smaller dogs, they get all these different health issues. Kind of sad.
Yeah, I mean, when they actually started, I'm kind of against that, especially if it damages the health of the animal in a sense, when you alter species in a way, just to satisfy, oh, it's so cute needs,
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's like pugs. Pugs have like short snouts, but they like literally can't breathe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they have a hard time breathing, and the newest range of pugs, their eyeballs keep popping out of their head. And you have to push their eyeball back into the socket constantly.
Oh,
it's like people stop, mix it up a little bit. I have breeding dogs, and we mixed up its genetic makeup by introducing another dog, and the mother had some minor problems. But because we had like added in like 25% of something else, the pups were far more healthier, and they looked like 1 or 2% different than the purebreds, but they had like significantly less generalized health issues. And it's like, yeah, that's probably a good idea. So,
man. All these species. Now, there was also one more thing that I've been thinking about from the last podcast when we had I'm Stylized as a guest, and when we were discussing the gunplay and how different people have different thoughts about the gunplay and how much attention they pay to the gunplay in general, and of course, like gunplay is not gonna be Doom-like. People already know about that in a sense, but does it look arcadey for you or realistic in a way when Wii's using the gun?
I think they've actually mentioned this, that the actual gunplay, like using rifles and pistols and stuff, will be less arcadey because you actually have to take cover at times. But if you choose to be a melee build, it's slightly more arcadey.
Yeah,
I believe they've mentioned that before, so it kind of looks like that. I'd say it's on par with.
Yeah, that's in a sense, yes, because not every protagonist in the video games has amazing gunplay skills. In a sense, I will also mention Gothic, a game where you start, and I like how that game, like when you pick up a weapon, any weapon, the guy is holding it with two hands. He doesn't know how to use a sword. And that also results in the attack speed and the damage, even though it doesn't really take into account. So in a sense, also with Cyberpunk and how using guns will you will learn and gain experience for it. It actually changes. So in that sense, for me, it's okay, especially because this game is not focused on, first person shooting. It's focused on the RPG part.
Well, let's be honest. Under a low perspective, if you don't know how to use a gun in this universe, you won't survive long.
Yeah.
Unless you're a corporate and you can afford security.
Mm-hmm.
But more or less, you need to know how to use a gun.
Well, you'll know how to use a gun at the very beginning. You'll just get better.
Yeah.
Yes.
In that
but
sense.
If they put this like you start from zero learning to use a gun because you are not choosing a solo build, that would be pretty absurd in the Cyberpunk universe.
I agree. Yeah.
Which I could surround myself with companions and just say, "You fight for me." I'll just hack things in the background.
Yeah, well, that's a thing. That's a thing to do. Well, they explained that analyzing the gameplay, you can see that when you use a gun, you acquire XP on this specific specific skill that you're using to use that gun. And it's a little difficult to see if it looks quote unquote arcade without touching it. Only by seeing it it's a little difficult. But obviously, I don't know why there were people that were comparing it with this Doom style of gunplay when the Doom style of gameplay is something completely different, where you don't have this strategic approach that you have in Cyberpunk, because in Doom is you run and shoot, which is perfect for Doom. I love Doom. I'm not criticizing. But in Cyberpunk, you're supposed to have also an approach where you need to think how you're going to approach things. I mean, you maybe don't want to start shooting to a group of 5 people, and then even if you have a solo build, you want to be stealthy, or you want to do things some other way. You have more options, and I believe that's the thing. That's the thing that even it seems that even the gameplay, even the gunplay is not based only in gunplay. I don't know if I'm explaining myself in here.
No, I can follow it.
And that's the thing that I find very interesting. I believe that they had someone specialized in gunplay to do this. And to be honest, I like it way better than I did on previous demo. That I didn't like it very much. To be honest,
they had a Counter-Strike pro in house to help them with that.
Yeah, and it makes sense. I believe it makes sense because gunplay is going to be an important part of the game.
Especially coming from CS:GO.
Still, I honestly dislike the damage counters.
Yeah,
they've dialed that back a lot. If you look at the deep dive, there's the numbers are popping out a whole lot less, and I believe you can disable that. Can you not? I think they've said.
I've heard that. I mean, I like the numbers because I like seeing numbers, but I know that some people hate seeing numbers.
Yeah, but you're half a robot. I'm not sure if you shall count your opinion on this particular matter.
Like I enjoy doing fly sense math, which is where you're just basically you're just flying by the seat of your pants. And I know I made that term up, but it's so you're flying by the seat of your pants. You're seeing numbers and you're just seeing them pop up sporadically, and you're doing rough calculations of finding out what's the better outcome. And I personally really enjoy that, but I know that a lot of people don't, and I know that a lot of shooter fans don't like seeing numbers pop up over heads and stuff like that.
The problem for me, the numbers is what makes the game arcade. It breaks immersion completely for me. Even though in Cyberpunk it makes sense because you can have a Kiroshi that is counting the damage. But I don't know, for me, so immersion breaking is not. It's something that I don't know, for a Borderlands game, it's okay because it's not a game that is so much based on immersion. It's arcade and it's to have fun and to hear the jokes. But in Cyberpunk, it's I don't see it.
But you have the corrosive optic, which is like a cybernetic eye.
Yes,
Right?
it makes some sense, but not as much. I mean, it's like it sounds a little bit like in Dragon Ball, where they had these glasses that allowed Super Saiyan to calculate the strength of the opponent. And it's
that's calculating that, but that is calculating what somebody perceives as the power of the opponent and not the damage that you're doing. Now, as somebody who's been in combat, I can say that when you're seeing somebody who's going down and down and down and down, this is how I've always interpreted seeing numbers and seeing health bars. Because when you're fighting somebody, they do have a health bar. They have a limit to which how much they can take before they drop. And what you're doing in combat is you're seeing that as an experienced fighter, you're seeing that slowly like drop more and more and more and more. It's not an actual number, but in RPGs and in the type of D&D type games and stuff like that, that's always been an immediate association for me is I'm watching somebody who can't take that much more before they give up or tap out or
yes, but a health bar is something that I don't know why. For me, it's less immersion breaking than the numbers popping out of the body.
And I get that, but some people like, some people like, the certain type of shooter who wants like, it's Twitch gameplay and it's like one shot or two shots to the body anywhere and you drop instantly. It's like that kind of a aspect. I hate that because that's not how real combat works. Like in most scenarios, like, I mean, it takes an average of like 170 or sorry, 107 100 goddamn 1700, there we go, takes an average of like 1700 bullets to bring down an enemy fighter in a war. So that's ridiculous that people, now I'm not saying that those are the shots that are landing on a body. That's how much the army calculates in rounds to kill an enemy fighter. That's not how many it's taking for them. That's how many missed shots there are before they get a kill. And so that concept translates, like, it doesn't really translate to the way that some people see it. So I've never been a fan of like generic shooters, even though, more experience with them in real life than most other people. Whereas the system where that somebody's, dropping what they can do before they ultimately give up or throw in is like, you're seeing that happen. So it's an enormous amount of wasted ammo.
Generally people don't go down in flick shots in real life as people think, because there is this notion like, oh, CSGO the most realistic. No, you cannot do things you do in CSGO as you fire around and jump and everything, obviously. Try and flick an AK-47, you're gonna lose your arm and your shoulder.
And it's just like, it's also the fact that in CSGO, like, you have no fear of dying yourself. Very different in a real world scenario. You don't just run into a room and like bang 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 and like, oh damn, I got shot, oh, I'm just gonna respawn in a few seconds. I'm terrified. I am terrified of the day when they create drones that people are controlling via that system, like via like respawn. And then you will have like the ultimate warfighters are going to be like 16, 17-year-old kids that are just like pwned you noob, yeah, take that. But it's going back and forth. Surrogates is a great example of it. Now, before you say, well, why don't they just let robots do it? There's a lot of Geneva Conventions against allowing robots to quote unquote pull the trigger themselves. That is an illegal thing across all nations. You don't have, and I mean, it's there for our own good, guys. Like, seriously, the human race, we start giving robots the ability to decide when they can or cannot kill humans. That's just, I mean, you're just begging for something
Skynet.
Really
You're begging for Skynet.
You're begging for Skynet.
We have to take away your guns then, Cyb.
Yeah. So, but ultimately, it's just, I've always perceived the numbers over the heads, and you see it in scenarios where like people give up, like when they're being shot at by police or something like that. It's like there's a moment where they decide, oh, okay, no, I'm done, and so they throw out their weapon and they surrender. It's like that's how I perceive that hit bar going. And it's just something that I've always noticed, but again, that's a totally different experience. My experience is totally different than most people's, so therefore obviously it's not what people should base assumptions that the game needs to be this way, which is why it's good when they give us an option. I think it's great if they keep the numbers in, and if they give the option to turn them off, I think that's also great, 100%, because then you're playing to both types of people who want that experience, and that is 100% the best way, the absolute best way that you can experience that immersiveness is when you get to choose, because it's more immersive for me to see numbers. It's less immersive for you guys too, and I think that's totally fine. Just keep in the option for both, and I think we'll be happy.
Yeah. It's funny that you mentioned that thing that you give up, because actually the other day I dreamt that I was playing Cyberpunk. Yeah, I do dream these things, and I dreamt that I was playing the game in a cinema. And one of the scenes, I pulled out the gun of V and said something to someone that was shooting at me, and they dropped the gun and raised their hands like, I dreamt that it was an option that enemies could surrender to you if you had enough cool and if you were threatening enough.
Mm-hmm.
I love the idea.
That would be
That would be cool.
Yeah, it would. The Metro Exodus had that in certain moments when either one or two enemies are left, they usually surrender if you point the gun. Because if you have the advantage in Cyberpunk and you point the gun at someone and say, and they do the animation of just giving up and raising their hands, that would be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But Ali says that's a weird dream, but I like it. Well, yeah. To be honest, I dreamt more than once that I was playing Cyberpunk. That's true. I dreamt more than once that I was playing Cyberpunk.
But to just say one thing is about numbers. Basically, when you think about numbers, like if, for example, Apex, sometimes when I look at how much I shot someone in Apex, they have 200. If you get their shields and everything, it's about 200. Or something like that, and you calculate how much health he has in a sense. So for a multiplayer game, that would make sense. But to have an option here just to turn it off and leave it, for each choice and each taste, I would be really okay.
As long as there's a choice, right? Yeah. I suppose a lot of people like to see what builds are working to do more damage visually like that, and what weapons are better and stuff like that to kind of pinpoint their builds and what weapons they want to use, and it's easier to visualize.
When
it's always like alien to me. I know there's people that play this way, but it's always alien to me how in an RPG people optimize their characters, which obviously I believe is legit, but I don't know. I believe that an RPG game is to be played a different way, but optimizing your character in an RPG is something that is it's strange. The concept is strange to me. Maybe because I've been playing pen and paper games all my life, and that's why. When you create your character and you create your build and you create the way that your character advances when you have XP, you do it thinking about who you are and who you want to be and who you're trying to be. You don't optimize the character for combat, but there are people who play like that.
You can do it in all ways. You don't have to pick or choose which way, right? You can play it in all the different ways. You can optimize your character and enjoy the other aspects.
Yes, but if you optimize your character, you are not choosing the perks of your character, but as a player.
I see what you're saying. Mm-hmm. But optimize your character in the sense of what after you pick, your role and whatever and how you want to play in the world, then you optimize that element after. That'd be a fair way to play.
Yes, yeah. I mean, obviously there are different styles, and I'm not saying that one is better than the other. But as I'm used to play in a way of the old pen and paper games, where everything that you do with a character is related to who you are in this world, and not optimized to this or that action that you perform inside. Also, because in pen and paper games it's very different. You don't have the limitations of a video game where only have a certain amount of actions to perform. In a pen and paper game, you can do whatever the game director can imagine, because it's free. You don't need graphics for that, so it's more difficult to optimize the character in a sense, optimize it for the tasks that you're going to do inside the game, because you don't know what are you going to do inside the game.
Okay.
And in a video game, obviously, if you are more used to RPGs inside a video game, you can optimize your character because you have gunplay, you have sneak,
You can
I suppose
stuff.
That's what multiple playthroughs are for as well. You can do one that's optimizing your build and one where you're truly role playing your dude.
Well, so I mean, like I really don't like power playing, like rolling the absolute best, like what some sheet tells you on a cookie cutter is like this is the best build. I don't actually really enjoy that, but like I prefer, because like, you know, I've done this before many times, is like I've played games where it's like, oh, this is your best build, and then you play a build that's different or by either a lot or a little, and you excel with that build versus the other one. And like, I mean, I've had people who are like, they're like hardcore numbers people, where it's like, no, that's not possible. The route that's laid out on paper is always the preferred route, and that's not always the case.
That's the thing. That's the thing about an RPG. The funny thing about an RPG is not winning or losing. It's spending time thinking about how are you going to do the things. So if you optimize your character to, for instance, be the best at shooting, maybe being the best doesn't force you to think how to solve the situation in a different way. I mean, it's not, at least for me, an RPG is not about being OP. An RPG is about having to think how to solve things. And if you're focusing your thought on how to optimize your character for a specific, for instance, you optimize your character for gameplay, and suddenly you enter into a room with 15 people. It doesn't matter how good you shoot, if you don't know how to hide or you don't know how to be sneaky, you're going to be killed. Because highly unlikely that you can survive an encounter like this if you have no hiding place. That's what I mean. That if you have a lot of options, optimizing the character without counting all the options is a little, I don't know, I find it weird.
And also different ways of finishing stuff, because sometimes in an RPG, as you said, like, okay, maybe I do this approach, you think out of the box and you want to do this, and like the game is no. Yeah. For me, that's, I don't know, for me that's a minus. If there are some things that are logical in a quest, in an RPG, which counts on your decision, and you can't really do it in a specific way, obviously you cannot do it in every imaginable way, that's impossible to implement. But, you know, if it's something is kind of logical and you're unable to do it, and something which is, you know, easy to think about, then, you know, that's, for me, that's not a good RPG game. In a sense, if they only want to say, okay, everything is your choice, everything you do counts, all right, let me do it my way then. But
well, in a certain way, everything that you do counts.
Yes. But, okay, we have also a donation. Red Wolf, thank you for $10. I played Outer Worlds and was excited to see how first-person perspective felt. Without seeing my guy, I was very sad. Not seeing him unless I was in a menu was a letdown. Have you guys played it? Did it affect you at all? Who wants to start?
Yeah, that kind of sucked about Outer Worlds. I'm not gonna lie, but that's just the nature of FPP and RPGs, right? I think I mean there weren't even cutscenes in that game, so you couldn't even see. I think that's a good analogy to have for Cyberpunk. The amount of times that you saw your character in Outer Worlds is probably going to be very similar to what you'll see in 2077.
Well, I like that you mention it, because in fact I played the Outer Worlds, and to be honest, I didn't think about it.
I thought about it a couple times, not gonna lie, but it didn't really impact me that much.
Yeah.
Well, I played it, and then, well, apart from the initial half an hour touching all the settings to be able to play it, once I was set in a mode where I didn't get dizzy, I honestly didn't think about this stuff.
But then again, a lot of the armors and stuff like that in that game look very similar.
Oh yeah.
There's not a huge diversity of like the armor and the outfits that you can put on.
I was bothered by that. Not by the thing that Red Wolf mentioned, but the armors, everything you put on has just a different paint on it, in a sense. And there wasn't that much. Like, I think I unlocked my final armor for the game, like, long time before I was, like, probably 60% of the main quest, or 50%. Long time before that.
Well, we know that the Outer Worlds was a small game.
Yeah,
I mean,
of course. But people have this sense of, you know, when they create a character, they kind of want to see him in a way. That's why this whole thing about first-person, third-person perspective was, not being able to see the character you create.
No, usually I am the first person complaining about this.
Mm-hmm.
But it's true, in the Outer Worlds, I honestly didn't think about it. I played the whole game. I was completely immersed. I loved the game, and I didn't think about that.
Mm-hmm.
And you heard me complain about that in Cyberpunk a lot of times. But now I'm in the Outer Worlds. I didn't even think about it.
Yeah. But it gives you a feeling of what would Cyberpunk play like, right? I guess Cyberpunk has some third-person scenes, and then it has photo mode, which is gonna kind of alleviate a lot of the people who don't like first-person perspective, I suppose. And I guess driving is third-person too.
Yeah.
But
well, this question about Red Wolf kind of made me wonder. This is a point of view that I didn't think before.
See?
How much? See?
Always new things to talk about, to think about.
Yes, how much are you going to care if you are truly immersed in the game?
I won't. I already because I don't have problems with first-person perspective in the first place. So in how I imagine myself, obviously I'm going to pay much attention to the character I create. Probably not the first one, but in this other playthroughs, I will kind of think about how he or she looks, whatever. But I won't pay that much attention. The only thing, maybe the outfits, I would kind of want to see how cool I look in those outfits.
Yes, but while you are playing, you have the photo mode. But while you are immersed in the story, are you sure you're going to think about your outfit?
I was gonna say no, yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna be focused on all the diverse NPCs, right? This world, everybody has their own unique style, and this is an NPC system where everybody looks very different. So I think you're gonna be focused more on that.
Yeah.
As long as you have things to be focused on, are you really going to think about how does your character look like?
I'm sure from time to time.
Substance over
It's
style.
not.
Yes, yes. It's in the moment that you create the character, in the moment that you buy new clothes, in the moment that you try new clothes, that you take pictures. Yeah, you're going to care how your character is going to look like. But when you are immersed in the story, are you really going to pay attention to that?
I think about it.
Yes, and I know girls.
Here comes the third person.
I know one or two guys.
My
But
fault. I am so
girls
sorry.
who walk around and look at themselves in a mirror at least 10 times an hour. And
I also know guys who do that. So let's not be
that.
gendered about this, because I know a lot of guys who do that.
Maybe you could take selfies. There's a lot of people in the world taking selfies.
Yes.
Well, to be fair,
but these people that look at themselves in the mirror is because they are not immersed in the story they're playing. If they were immersed in their thoughts, so they were thinking about interesting things, or they had something interesting in front of them, they were looking at themselves in the mirror.
But depends. For some, how they look, how they have, what outfit they have, that helps the immersion in a sense.
It's not that it helps or not helps the immersion. Is that, will you think about it?
I guess people get immersed in different ways, right?
Well,
you can't really have a broad scope of how to get immersed.
But that's it's actually what Sip said. It makes sense. If you have something interesting in front of you that you're looking at, are you going to look at yourself in the mirror? At yourself? No, you're going to look at the interesting thing you have in front of you. If you look at yourself in the mirror, maybe it's because you have nothing interesting in front of you. I don't know. I imagine myself walking down the street and suddenly, I don't know, Mads Mikkelsen crosses the road. I'm not going to look at myself in the next door. If they have a glass that is mirror-like, and I'm not going to look at myself. I'm going to look at Mads Mikkelsen. It's the same principle.
Whip out your camera to take a selfie with Mads Mikkelsen.
But then you have photo mode for that.
Yeah, but that's technically looking at yourself.
Yes, but in a thing that you're not interrupting what you have in front of you, That's what I mean.
Again, I know girls who they check themselves out constantly, and
I know
I ask them why they're doing this,
let's not be gendered about that. It's pretty.
I know, when I ask them why they do this, their response is because I look good, and it's so you're attracted to yourself. And they're like, of course I am. And I'm like, huh, that's an interesting way to think about it. I also know other people who, like, they was that it's a lot. There's a line from Scrubs where the guy is working out the really macho doctor, and they're like, so what's your secret? And he goes, you hate yourself, you hate your body. The minute that you're happy with yourself is the minute you stop improving. I was like, oh, that's another way to look at it. Both it's two very interesting ways to look at it, and both of these types of people I know check themselves out in the mirror constantly because they're obsessed with their how they look. I don't think that's a bad thing. If I was so blessed, I'd probably be doing the exact same thing. So I don't know.
Well, I honestly believe I look good, but if I'm on the street and Matt Mikkelsen crosses the street, I'm going to look at him, not at myself in the mirror. You can't be sure about that.
Yeah. But yeah, what Sib said and what you said, everything makes sense. But
no, but I mean, I was saying that because I was constantly I talked about it plenty of times, and I complained about it plenty of times. Like, we can't see ourselves. And then when Red Wolf made this question, I thought, well, yeah, actually, did play the Outer Worlds, and at any single moment of the whole game, I missed seeing myself. Any single moment. Not that the game was very long, but. I didn't have this thought in the whole game. I created the character. Actually, I created a very funny character that was funny to see because I did it for the stream and I wanted people to have fun. And even though it was something funny, I didn't miss not seeing the character. I didn't even think about it.
Interesting enough is what you're saying, that you weren't preoccupied with that. The dialogues were interesting enough, which I think they were. Outer Worlds does that very well.
Yeah, dialogues were very funny, and action around was very funny. And when you were exploring, and you were exploring with companions, you also had in the background the dialogues of the companions that were also interesting. I mean, there were constantly interesting things to do.
Yeah. I mean, it comes down to the end game. Because usually what I do if I'm in a game that has a lot of customization options, a lot of clothing, I usually just take, for example, the cars, do the colors, match them up. Then the outfit maybe a bit, I don't know. In a sense, it does kind of, you're trying to create a character which is gonna be not yourself necessarily, but just the person you're imagining in the Cyberpunk universe. That obviously refers to clothes, but I'd probably just get the full heavy armor set and don't care. Just get the most robust piece of armor you can find in Cyberpunk and wear that. Don't care. If you're going for that solo build. But
I wonder how that's gonna work. Because it's not technically gonna be armor, it's gonna be like subdermal plating and stuff like that. So how you can't
and jackets have armor.
Yeah, but the best is gonna be you having the subdermal armor and then the armor on top, right? So I guess Ripper Docs and looting will feed into that element.
Yeah,
which is cool.
And kind of makes sense for the universe. Imagine you going into someone's house in a full riot gear, and the person's like, "So you want to fight, eh?"
He's got his towel on. But he's got subdermal armor that's plus 5,000 bajillion.
Well, the thing about armor in video games is that usually it's something that allows you to not think of ways of not getting shot at. And I think it's best not having a lot. This way you have to think in hiding.
True. I don't know. When I saw the gameplay, I mean the deep dive, I wanted a solo build. Now I want the Netrunner one. Because that's how I imagined, if I'm so obviously, there's gonna be we will be able to, shape our character how we want. It's gonna be fluid in that sense, but solo in a sense was more of a kind of a, tanky, full-on head, while Netrunner was kind of something I imagined in a sense.
Netrunner is kind of the best of both worlds because you still get to shoot, you still get to use your nanowire or your melee weapons. You just get the additional cool hacking parts tacked on.
Yeah, because for example, if I want to have a solo, but little, net running skills, little to nothing, just have more, how would I say, discreet way of opening things, because you obviously solo strong, rip open doors, that's not really that sneaky.
Probably gets old after.
It gave me the impression obviously it's difficult to be sure if you're if you're right seeing that little of the game that we've seen so far. But it gave me the impression that the world is kind of built in a way that you need some net running abilities a little bit.
Obviously, like everything is connected. They said
to need to do in the game.
I mean, it makes sense. You are in that kind of a universe. You kind of expected to know something about it in order to survive. Like to just hack simple things. Obviously, you're going to miss out on a lot of bonus things. As for example, I think the turret had, if you hack it in an advanced way, you can take control of it or something like that.
It shoots your enemies or something, but it's like autonomously. Yeah.
I just want more melee gameplay in a sense with samurai sword, with something like that, with katana. Sorry, because we didn't see much. They didn't.
We know, but we know it's there, and I think this is one of these things where I think melee combat is one of those things that's been under a lot of tweaking, because first-person melee games are very difficult to pull off. They're very, 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 very difficult to pull off
because they're not so flashy as you would get from third person.
Yeah,
see your character doing that move,
your body movements. Yeah, you're twirling.
Yeah, so it again and this is the thing where again it's like in real life, you of course you fight melee in first person view, but you are the weapon. You're not, and the weapon is merely an extension of yourself, and you don't have that in first person melee games because the weapon is your weapon. And you have none of the senses that you develop when you're learning to combat with melee weapons. So this is of course this is going to be vastly different, and it is going to have some substantial hurdles. And there are a few. Kingdom Come was able to pull it off pretty decently. There's a few other games that pull it off decently well. I don't know if any of them are masterpieces. So this is something where you have to tread with a lot of care to make sure that you do it as best as you can, but don't be shocked if it kind of falls on its face a little bit. It's like don't expect that to be the pinnacle of the game is the melee combat. I suspect that it'll be mostly about sneaking, subtlety, coercion and that kind of stuff, and then maybe you'll just get a sledgehammer and you just go ham. So maybe that's a thing too. But with the sledgehammer, what's one of the best things about a rocket sledge? And that's going to be the spins that you can do. You hold it out, you turn on the rocket, and you just whirlwind yourself. And I don't know if you know, but having that in first person would be very vomit inducing. Just saying. So you lose out some of the fun combos that you get to do as a melee fighter, because whirlwind, it's great when it's third person, not so great when it's first person. Visually it's just kind of not fun, but that's just my 2 cents.
Well, we'll see. Hopefully the next thing they show is gonna feature a little bit more of that. Just to have a glimpse of it, see how it works. Because in the first, the longest, the previous gameplay that they released, there was this one point when V kind of double jumps and he shoots the guy standing on a platform with a shotgun. So, if you can do that with a katana. Double jump and then slide. So that's something I would love to see from that. Just this agility to, because obviously if you're using melee weapons, you have to be fast. Otherwise, or heavily equipped.
Just going back to that, the solo versus netrunner thing. I think in the gameplay, the Sasquatch threw her hammer at you, right? And so just as another incentive to pick more strength or solo oriented role, I believe they've said that you need a high strength stat to actually pick that up. So if you're a netrunner, you're kind of locked out of picking that up, right?
Yeah, I mean,
so there's another incentive there.
But picking up, in a sense of building it, obviously is going to be in inventory, to for us to sell. And
but you'll need a specific strength stat.
I mean, it makes sense. Makes sense for the character, obviously. Not everyone can pick up things in real life that someone else can. Yeah, it makes sense from an RPG role playing kind of a perspective. What kind of a person you want to build? Yeah, and I don't know if we're done with this topic. We have one more for the end. You mentioned that, Neon, about the interview with the voice actors.
It was on a Polish. I think the program is called Program or something. And so the Polish voice actors for V, both male and female respectively, Kamil Kula and Lydia Sadowa, they were interviewed, and they made mention that there's a quest in there that they had to take a break from because it was so emotionally impactful. I think he mentioned it was similar to the Bloody Baron or a little.
I would like to make an intermission, because this is something that I'm really, quote unquote, afraid in the good sense of the term. Are we all aware that the person that designed the Baron quest in The Witcher 3 is now the lead of the whole team?
Yeah, Sasko.
So imagine a whole game built with quests like that. I am so afraid in the good sense of the word, okay? Not in the sense that they are going to be bad. We're going to suffer.
You're afraid that this is going to ruin you for all other video games ever.
Yes. Yes. Not only that, I mean, the other day I did a stream, and people were asking me if I was going to play the game, and I was going to play the game on stream, and I am so afraid of the game, and in the sense that they've been saying, "Oh, you're going to cry," but then I had this thought: wait a minute, the person that designed the Baron quest, that was incredibly emotional, is the person that now is in charge of the whole team. I mean, how many quests like that are we going to do? I won't be able to stream that game. I'm going to spend half of the game crying and shouting. Even more considering the personal, emotional relation that I have with certain characters in the lore. I mean, it's going to be emotionally very deep for me.
You're just gonna be sobbing.
I'm going to kill Sasko when I finish the game. I'm totally sure about that.
Okay, we got death threats. Never mind. Angry gamer screaming at a PC while playing Cyberpunk colorized.
Yes, yes. But yes, I am really, really afraid of that. Afraid of the emotional component, because I'm a person that if the immersion of whatever, a film, a game, whatever, it's well done, I am super incredibly immersed. And and yes, I played the pen and paper game for many years, and we know that certain characters that I have, let's call it emotional relation with them, are going to be in the game, and depending to what happens to these characters, I mean, I can cry a lot. So people were asking, "Are you going to stream?" It's like, oh.
How well is your apartment sound insulated? So
it's an old one, so the walls are very thick. Fortunately for the neighbors.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that emotional side, because that just helped me in immersion. That helps me to just keep playing the game, because if just pick this up, get this back, pick this up, get this back, it was like, yeah.
And they mentioned it was either on par or a lot more stressful than the Bloody Baron. I'm not sure, because it's obviously an article in Polish, and I had to get someone to translate it for me. But if it's more than the Bloody Baron, if he had to take a couple days break after, and he said he wouldn't be able to live act it either, to be a motion actor, because he just wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah. Actors go through that sometimes, and thing is, like, this was a case a couple of years back when, it always happens, actors that really go inside the role and really change themselves into this other persona can experience emotional trauma depending on their.
Think about Heath Ledger, right? He succumbed to his. Yeah.
But sometimes an actor is going to, get emotional around something, the portrayal, and then, it's not going to really reflect on the person watching or playing it the same. But if the actor is saying this, then we are in for a lot of... we are in for some screams and cries. It's going to be interesting when people start streaming. I can just imagine YouTube breaking down in Twitch when this.
Well, I was thinking. I'm totally convinced that if I streamed the game and it has the emotional level that I'm expecting from it, people is going to believe that I'm exaggerating. It's going to take for granted that I'm exaggerating.
No, if you spent a lot of time with this universe, of course you're going to be emotionally involved in the characters and the development.
Yeah.
Sasko, if you're listening to this, if anything happens to Johnny Silverhand, you and I are going to have a word.
Sasko sweating nervously in Poland.
Dear Lord.
I know where you work.
Cue the Dear Lord memes.
I mean, I don't know if we are sponsored by Arasaka, Sasko. We can pull some strings.
And be careful to what happens to
foreign to us.
Sorry?
I said assassination is not something that is foreign to us.
Well, now I'm going to make a humorous intermission because I was discussing this subject yesterday. It was very funny because I was tired of work, and a friend of mine called me because he was hanging out in the bar next to my apartment and said, "Well, I'm 2 minutes away from you. Why don't you come here? I'm with some friends." And I thought, well, okay, I'm so tired of work. I'm going to get there. And I got there, and he introduced his friends to me, and I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to think about work. And the first thing that one of his friends asked me was, well, what do you think of Cyberpunk Red? What are the differences with Cyberpunk 2020? Like, I'm supposed to not think about it. I was taking a mental break. And we were discussing this thing about the quest, and this friend of mine, he's obsessed with Middle Ages martial arts, European martial arts in the Middle Ages, and especially sword fighting, but realistic sword fighting. And he was making the joke that he knew people he could send to the Project Red with big swords in case something went wrong.
They have a wall of guns. I'm just gonna say that.
Actually, this friend of mine, bought a sword to what's the name of the people that make swords in English? Blacksmith. To a very famous blacksmith, and he had all his orders interrupted because CD Projekt Red ordered a sword from The Witcher to this guy, because he's like the best in Europe. So the sword that my friend bought was delayed for 2 years.
Yeah, for 2 years, man.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's gonna be one hell of a sword.
Sword crafting is not a fast thing. Like there are teams that can do it in maybe a week or two, but it's for the most part it is not a quick event. So
especially if it's gonna be stylized and one piece, so not massively produced, just one piece of equipment. Whew, man, that would be expensive as hell also to make. Pay someone to make.
Yeah, but if you like swords, you go for the best.
Yeah, of course. Luckily this week we had a lot to talk about. Finally.
Well, and soon we may have more because, well, if they're ramping up the marketing campaign, this may mean that we will see something in the Game Awards.
Yes, yes.
Between Kojima and Kojima, because
I'm so excited.
Death Stranding had 6 nominations? 9? How many? I had a lot.
6 or 9, something like that.
They had a whole lot.
Yes. Well, we'll see. We'll see which one, because I don't know. I'm still trying to recover from that joystick that Epic was the company of the year. Still recovering from that. Because I was like, what? I read the Epic Games. I'm like, what? They're what? Yeah. Best studio for what? I mean,
Well, I guess they mean economic growth or something like that.
yeah, but you cannot like if they were going for that, then yeah. But if you only think about economics, then what about the art part of the
It's really
video
not about
games?
the games anymore.
Yeah, it's almost if Oscars were won by the most, highest grossing films. You have number one film, let's say Avengers, and then they win Oscars just based on that. It doesn't make sense. And even for video games should be treated more as art and less, how many Twitch viewers they have, in a sense. But yeah, we've been going on for 95 minutes. I don't know if there's any good question before we slowly finish this.
When is the Game Awards? Is the 12th?
I think so.
Second, I thought, isn't it?
It's coming up. Yeah, it's coming up right away.
It's on December 2nd.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it's we're not too far off from that.
The 13th. Sorry, the 13th, not the 12th. The 13th of December.
Yeah.
That is Friday. Yes.
Sai, we will be on stream commenting the Game Awards as usual.
Yeah. I was just about to say that. I believe we're probably going to end up doing something together. We might be co-streaming, so you might be able to tune into all of us on the same stream during all of the content. We're going to have an announcement for that for sure by next week. So you can check that out. And it's going to be big. Like this year, they're going to have a lot of announcements. We're expecting some major announcements from Microsoft. We're expecting an announcement or two from some upcoming titles that have been kind of keeping their head under. For now, we're expecting to see probably some teasers for the next gen games coming up, and there's a few very interesting titles for that. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think out of all of them, the Game Awards are probably the most probably the best event, I think, right now, because it's the less cringy of all of them. However, I gotta give props to that Twitch Awards that just happened. Oh my goodness, that was epic. That was baller. That was amazing. To all of the people who were there, they did not know what they were getting into. Like the regular folks, because there was some spicy language used that day, and it was interesting. Definitely fun. So yeah.
Drama is always fun.
Oh, did you heard it though, right?
Yeah, I've been following.
Yeah, it's like good Lord, they got roasted. So fun stuff. Very, very, very fun.
Oh, how many people saw that roast? That was so good. But anyway,
it was spot on too.
Oh yeah, definitely, it was well put. Yeah. Right where it's supposed to be. Finally.
Is there a squad streaming thing availability for YouTube? I know Twitch does that.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. I don't think yet. No.
YouTube needs a live stream overhaul fast if they want to compete.
Sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, they need a lot of stuff right now, and the fact that last time, so just careful with the spam, guys, because the whole Markiplier thing with him, like he was getting his audience to spam certain things, and hundreds and hundreds of accounts were perma banned. Now they've reversed almost all of them from what I've heard, but still, it's just like wow, somebody's an absolute, like, an epic level idiot to just, like, because there were complaints that came in, and then like the people who were reviewing the complaints just didn't even review it. They just like, we don't care, done. Like, request denied, moving on. And it's like, wow,
what happens when there's no competition whatsoever?
Yeah, no competition and no segregation, like between fields, right? If there was an independent body that was responsible for verifying stuff, like it might work a lot better that way, to say, hey, I was banned or whatever, can I get a ruling from a group body of people to kind of a peer of like equals or whatever to like sit around and you go, okay, well, let's look at this. All right, so while we agree with this, we just disagree with this point. We agree with that point. All right, well, here's the ruling. It's like that would, that might make it a little bit better until that system, ultimately ends up getting corrupt itself. Then you swap to a different system, then you swap to a different system. Yeah, because at this point, it's just like it's just too much. It's just too much stupidity.
Yep. Yeah, I know. Okay. Now let's see. We have a lot of people watching. Everyone, thank you so much for watching. Now this the stream, well, the video is gonna be available as soon as YouTube does the processing. Usually takes up to half an hour, 45 minutes, maybe an hour max, but it's going to be public on the channel. Don't worry about it. Who's next week, by the way?
I think it's us. Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's us.
Yeah.
So
next week, same
the
time.
The calm before the storm.
Oh yeah. I'm so excited as the year is coming to an end, as we're actually approaching 2020. I'm like so close to Cyberpunk finally. And you have all the links to our social my god, my brain just stopped working, to our social media sites. YouTube, Discord, Twitter, it's everything down below, so check it out. And next week Triple S League is hosting the podcast, same time, same day with the squad. And anyone has anything for the end to say?
No, thank you guys so much for watching. It's good to see about 90 to 100 people in here every week. It's cool.
And a lot of new people.
Lots of people watching it on the like when they can later on. That really helps us out, and it's really good. And I'd say this experiment has been an overwhelming success, and we're really anticipating it to be even more of an English is not my and even more of a great success in the weeks and months to come. So thank you so much for attending. This is quite the experiment that we've done here, and it's gone over very, very well. So thanks, and that wouldn't be possible without the community. So amazing.
Yeah,
absolutely amazing.
A rotating podcast.
Yeah, who knew, right?
Yeah, actually, I discussed this idea of a rotating podcast with my professor before I finished the academy. He was like, "Wait, what? You did that?" I was like, "How is the reach?" I'm like, "It's great. You get all the people from different channels." Like, "Oh, that's smart," because you just keep the community together in a way. Everyone, every four of us have a chance to do a live stream on each of our channels. We bring people together in a sense in this community, and people have been amazing with the support. It's insane. Thank you so much.
It's been a lot of fun. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
35 episodes too, so.
Yeah, 35 weeks. It's been a while since we started this. And yeah, thank you everyone for watching. See you next week, and have a great day, evening, morning, and bye-bye.
See you.
Bye.
Peace.